it's no surprise that Eldritch Blast is one of the most broken cantrips in Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, how many times have you seen someone play a Warlock and just blast things off the map, crit for a stupid amount of damage, frighten enemies? It's just a crazy cantrip. As the most of my videos, I'm going to be doing a solo honor mode run here, using Eldritch Blast as my primary damage source. Now real quick, if you don't understand why Eldritch Blast is so broken, let me break it down for you in 30 seconds. A normal cantrip usually just adds an extra dice roll when you hit your major breakpoints, making it do more damage. These breakpoints are level 5 and level 10. However, Eldritch Blast acts a little bit different. Eldritch Blast gives you extra targets for your spell, and it can be the same target if you'd like. So, at level 1 to 4, it's only one Eldritch Blast. At level 5 to 9, it is 2 Eldritch Blasts, and for level 10 to 12, it's 3 Eldritch Blasts. Now the reason why this is so good is because each blast counts as a certain instance of damage, allowing you to proc damage riders multiple times. For example, Hex. If you have Hex on a target, and you hit 3 Eldritch Blast shots on them, rather than just getting 1 proc from the Hex, you'll get 3 procs. This works for many different sources of damage in the game. Alternatively, you can just target multiple enemies if you want to do some crowd control, as it's quite easy to one-shot them when you are so powerful. If you're going to enjoy this video, please subscribe, it would help a lot, and leave a like. With that out of the way, let's start the run, and I hope you enjoy. For this build, we're going to go the Dark Urge as always for these solo builds. It's just easier. You have a much easier time doing a few things, some better items. Human is what I like to go, but you can pretty much go whatever class you'd like. If you want to go half elf, wood elf to have more movement, things like that, you can. Obviously, we're going Warlock because we need access to Eldritch Blast, and Minor Illusion is always good to have. You have a couple different options here. The Great Old One is where we're going to end up in this build, but if you want some better early game safety, you can also go for the Fiend. The Fiend gives hit points whenever you kill a creature. There's also the Hexblade as well. Get some nice spells. It's the most powerful level 1 kit in the game. Then it also allows you to use melee as well with Hex Weapon. I'm just going to keep it simple and go for Mortal Reminder with the Great Old One. For your spells, we'll go Hex, and you can go whatever other spell you want. It doesn't really matter, we're not going to use them too much. And then for the stats, we're going to have high Charisma, obviously, because we're a Warlock, high Dex, and a decent Constitution as we're playing solo. This is what I went with. If you want to make 17 Charisma so you don't have to respec later, you can do that as well. And then I went with these skills, just better Persuasion, Deception, and we chose a great name. As always, we wake up on the Noidaloid, and we go meet us, which we fail at. Again, I've been failing so much at us lately, but that's fine, we don't need him. Lae'zel, jump off the ship. Light work. We Eldritch Blast some guys to death. Took a little bit, but we got there in the end. Killed some cultists with Eldritch Blast. And we made our way out of the Nautiloid. We weren't spending more time than we needed to here. And we wake up on the beach at the official start of Act 1. Now we're going to speedrun this. Grab a fish. Jump up here to avoid the Intellect Devourers. Cut off Gale's hand as the Dark Urge. Kill this Mind Flayer. I'm going to go back to my camp here, and I'm going to grab some of the stuff that I have from having the Collector's Edition. It's going to give a Fly Potion, a Strength Potion. We're going to use the Fly Potion to skip the Grow fight because I'm very weak, I'm level 1 still, and it's a whole lot of time. We will come back to clean up the fight later if it's still going. And as that, we have skipped the fight. Now we're going to go and grab this chest up here. This chest, when you sell it, gives a decent amount of gold, so it's just easy to pick up on the way. I then give the bear a fish to get 15 XP. This gets my first level up, and it's going to be an easy one. We're just going to go level 2 and Warlock here. For my third spell, it doesn't really matter what I pick. I just picked Charm Person. We're going to pick Agonizing Blast. This puts your Charisma modifier onto your Eldritch Blasts. It's an essential. And then you have an option here if you're playing this yourself. You can go Devil's Sight or you can go Repelling Blast as your two kind of options. Either or is fine. I think Devil's Sight is better for a solo run. It just provides more safety once you hit level 3. But Repelling Blast allows you to do some fun things as well. And allows you to kite a little bit better. It's a bit up to preference. I'm going to go Devil's Sight here. But later on, if you stick a Warlock, you can get the other one at level 6. We're going to then save Arabella. Go listen to Nettie's yapping for a little bit.
Of course.
And then steal the Parasite after she's done yapping. Then we're going to use Disguise Self with the helmet from the GLC chest. And come and meet Mole. Because we saved Arabella, she'll give us a quest to grab the idol. We're going to grab that later. We're then going to persuade Roland from leaving. This is an essential for the Potent Robe. We need to make sure that he stays alive. Then we're going to finish the fight up here with Zevlor as it was still going, getting us a little bit of extra XP. We'll grab the Guidance Amulet here, even though we'll get it at level 3 anyway. We'll make these guys go fight the owlbear, and we're just going to loot this body for some XP. We're then going to transform into a drow, so we can skip this dialogue check and get all the XP for free without any issues. We're going to pick up this antidote here to go skip the Dwagar a bit later, and grab the Helm of Haste. This is a great early game item that gives you a little bit more movement on the start of combat. We'll then pass this Intimidation check, which gets us level 3. At level 3, we're going to go for another level in Warlock here. Now, if you wanted to, you can actually multi-class from here. I like to go level 3 into Warlock so I can get Darkness, and then you get your next Pact. I'm just going to go Pact with the Tome, but there's an argument for each of these here. I then make my way over to Joaquin's Rest, and kick down the door to go save the Counselor. She's going to give us a staff that when we cast a cantrip will gain lightning charges, which is just a good early game option for that little bit of extra damage. While we're here, since we have high charisma, I'm just going to do the Githyanki skip. I have enough inspiration that this is not a stress at all, and obviously my charisma is high, so it's likely we'll pass this check. Passing this check gives us a decent amount of XP, and then we're going to sell all our junk we've been collecting to this trader. And then I loot all the stuff down in the tax collector's room. We'll now make our way to the Goblin camp. And here we're going to meet Priestess Gut. Priestess Gut is going to help us clear the tadpole. So we're going to drink this potion here that knocks us out. This will mean she'll capture us, but thankfully this actually works in our favour, as Corella will come and save us. Otherwise the game will obviously not continue. So Corella saves us. We're going to then go into the Underdark as we have a free path there without no one blocking us. I kill this Minotaur for some free XP. And then I make my way to the Mycona colony to meet this gnome. This gnome will give the antidote to we picked up earlier, and she'll give her boots. Her boots will allow us to skip the Dwagar fight over at the beach. Now we're going to grab the Invis potion as well, and then meet the Dwagar. We'll show her the boots, and then we'll come back to go across to the Grymforge. We're invisible here to skip all these arcane turrets, brute force our way through the door, and pick up the flower. Inserting this into the machine will allow us to turn off the arcane tower completely, disabling those turrets. We're then going to pick up the Timmus Spores, and the Tongue of Madness is here as well. We'll use these to grab an item in the second. Fun tip, you can kill these arcane turrets for 40 XP each, It takes me a hot minute to actually kill them here, as they are sturdy objects. And it's a decent amount of XP just for nothing, so you might as well do it. There's 4 of these that are around, so 160 XP. We're going to level up here, and level 4 is going to give us our first feat. It's actually a no-brainer here, in my opinion. Oh, well, there is 2 options. I'm going to go ability improvement of charisma, as we're going to double dip into our charisma modifier, so we want it as high as possible. But you can make an argument for alert as well. We're then going to meet with these interesting creatures and pass a check here. This will give us 750 XP for passing the check, and you give us an item that we don't care about at all. With all that done, we're going to sail across and head into the Grymforge. Now we have a few things that we want to do here, but most importantly we're coming here to get some anti-crit protection. First thing we do is we talk with these guys here, convince them we're not true souls, and then make sure we get half of the spoils for killing Near. These guys will come in handy to this to make the Near fight a little bit easier. Not that he's that hard to begin with. Then we're going to throw everyone off the map, including the scrying eye. This will still give you the XP, as it counts as a death. They don't care if you fail the throw, as long as you don't do it in eyes view of anyone else, they do not care. So throw them all off, and you'll get a bunch of XP, and the Near fight will have no enemies besides Near. Now we're going to go grab the shield mold over here. This is an essential piece of gear, and it's the only anti-crit item that we'll be able to use for the minute. We'll grab the mithril here. You can crouch around here so you don't trigger the buff that's in the lava, allowing you to get this second piece of mithril for free as well. Now Grim's not going to be anything special. We're going to use minor illusion to lure him underneath the hammer, and then we're just going to use the hammer obviously to kill him. Easy fight, doesn't take any effort. I then Misty step down and Gum grab the shield. We're going to be using this for the entire run, as one crit could easily end our lives. I also craft the heavy adamantite split, just because we can sell that for a decent amount of gold. Now, those Timic spores and Tongue of Madness, we're going to use them here, and the Myconid colony. This will give us access to the Boots of Stormy Clamour, allowing us to inflict reverberation on inflicting a condition. Then back at the Grymforge, we're going to throw some bombs at all these mimics here. They actually one-shot them when you throw them from up here, so it gives 75 XP each, plus we'll get a pair of arms that give us +1 AC. Not essential to this build, but an easy pickup, and we have nothing better to use at the moment anyway. Killing this last mimic here reaches me to level 5. Now level 5 is a massive breakpoint for us, as it allows us to now have 2 casts of Eldritch Blast instead of 1. This will effectively double our damage, assuming that we hit and whatnot, and allow us to proc our damage riders twice, which is great. It also reaches us for our next Eldritch Invocation, so we can unlock Repelling Blast as well. Here has those arms I was talking about, giving us the +1 AC. We'll equip them on for now, but we don't expect to use them for very long. Now, we're gonna long rest twice here. This is very important, as if you do this incorrectly, you will not be able to get the potent rope. So here, we're gonna hit our second long rest, and this will give us our second cutscene with the Dream Guardian. Now, we need to knock out Alfira. You don't have to meet her or whatnot. Now, you can knock her out here. You can do it, it's not too bad. I'm just going to teleport, carry her outside of the grove, just so I have more time to actually kill her, as I'm not a very strong melee based build. Knock her out, don't kill her, and then long rest. On your third long rest here, you will get the cutscene where you're meant to kill Alfira as the Dark Urge. But because the game thinks she's dead, you will now get instead a Dragonborn. The Dragonborn here It serves the exact same purpose, except Alfira will now be alive, and you'll be able to continue the quest for the potent robe. Back to the Goblin camp, we now have some unfinished business. We need to kill the Goblin leaders. Now, I'm sure you can go in a Cloud of Darkness and do it normally, but why not just use Minor Illusion to lure them onto a breakable path and just break the floor. It seems easier to me. The only downside is you won't get their loot and you won't get their XP. So if you want to do this normally, you can. Cloud of Darkness kind of trivializes most fights with Warlock, but on a solo run, I tend to do the safest thing possible, which is this. Once he falls, you want to instantly teleport away, otherwise you will be put in combat. You can just go invisible, but I just get out of there, don't have to worry about that. We're going to meet Zevlor now. He'll give us some money. We don't really care about the money, we are quite rich right now at the moment, as we haven't really had to spend any money on anything. We're now going to come over here and cast Darkness on top of this idol. Because the Druid Grove is now passive, we can cast Darkness, steal the idol, and they won't go and kill all the tieflings. Obviously that is something we can't have happen, as we need the tieflings for Act 2 for the potent rope. Once you've teleported away, go on back to Mole, give her it, and you get the Ring of Protection, giving you +1 AC and +1 saving throws. Now we're going to do a few other things here, real quick, that we might as well pick up here in Act 1, but one of the more important things is stealing this chest and teleporting away, back to the hideout, then we can kill everyone here and grab a little bit more XP as well. Hand in the chest, you'll get some money and access to a extended shop, which we get some gloves of thievery from, but that's about it. Then we set the place alight, and we finish off any stragglers who lived the explosion. This just gives us a little bit of extra XP for completing the quest and killing all the guys here. With that being done, we're pretty much ready to start going into Act 2 to grab the more OP gear that we're going to set up and be able to fly through the game with. Things like the Potent Robe will be our forever armor set, so we might as well pick up that as soon as we possibly can. I have to listen to this guy yap first though. We meet our butler from a previous life here, and he's going to give us a cloak that we're going to use for most of the game as well. It turns us invisible once we kill an enemy. It's very good, especially on a ranged build like this. We're going to equip this cloak, and we're going to swap between this and the cloak of protection that we're going to grab in Act 2. First, before we head into Act 2 though, we might as well make a quick stop at the crash. We're going to turn to a Githyanki and lockpick the door down here. This will allow us a safe entry through, as we can use the Githyanki check dialogue and we don't have to roll for it as we're coming through the back door. Once we're here, there's a few items I want to pick. Knife of the Undermountain King and the Daredevil gloves. They're both pretty high quality items for this build. The weapon giving us a -1 to crit rolls, and the Daredevil gloves allowing us to cast spells in melee range without threat. We're also going to come kill the kobolds. As per usual, they give 75 XP each, and there is a bunch of them. It is just free XP, and they're quite easy to kill, as you can see. One Eldritch Blast pretty much kills them. Now, with all that being done, we're going to head over to Act 2, using an invisible potion to skip past any enemies in the way. Act 2 is quite scary in some areas, but with our high charisma build, we can talk our way out of most fights and get some of the best buffs in the game here as well. Some of these buffs won't be getting to a little bit later, as we still got a few long rests that we want to do, as we're not quite ready just to spam short rests. We first make our way to the Last Light Inn, selling all of our junk as per usual, just to get as much money as possible, as we just spent a decent amount. Now we meet Alfira. Alfira is going to tell us that we need to go save Roland, who has been captured and is in Moonrise Towers. On our way, we find the Drider, and due to our high charisma, we're going to talk to him and convince him to give us the lantern. Now, I had an ended run here as I accidentally killed the pixie, and I totally forgot, and then I ran into Act 2, and I didn't have the blessing, and I thought I did have the blessing because I wasn't paying attention to what I was clicking. So if you're playing the Dark Age, be very careful. I've done this a few times now. Make sure you click the right option, as they look very similar between option 1 and option 2. You want to pick option 2. Once selecting this option, she'll give you a bell that you can ring to make sure you have protection from the Shadow Curse. Once we've reached Moonrise Towers, again, there is a few essential items that we're going to pick up here, which, first of all, the Ring of Free Action. Then we're going to meet Zarel and get her to give us the key to Balthazar's room. Now, we don't need the Moon Lantern from his room this time, which is what you would normally do if you don't want to talk to the Drider. But however, we do want an item that is just passed. A fun trick you can do, instead of trying to lockpick this door, you actually throw a bomb at it, and the bomb radius will hit the lever on the other side, opening the door. As this door is a 30, I'm pretty sure, check, it's very hard to do unless you got a stealth build or a high dex. We're then going to kill this dog. Being in darkness, it doesn't even recognize we're there, and we can kill it for free. Blast open the door, and then we're going to kill this mimic here. This mimic's going to grab us our amulet that we'll be switching to for pretty much most of the game, but in some instances we will be taking it off. But it applies reverberation on a ranged spell cast. So if we do damage with our ranged spells, we'll put reverberation, and because our Eldritch Blast attacks multiple times, we'll be applying that more often. It's extremely good. We're then going to go to the prison and throw them off the ledge. Same concept as we did earlier. It gives us XP, but it also means that we can free the gnomes and tieflings without 0 risk. Once we've done all this throwing off the map, we're going to come up behind here and break the walls so they can get to the boat. This will allow them to take the boat to the last light inn, where we can finally finish this quest. We're then going to come back to the last light inn and meet with Alfira. Alfira is going to give us the potent robe. The potent robe will give us additional damage equal to our charisma modifier on our cantrips, same thing as agonizing blast is doing, and also giving us temporary hit points at the start of every turn and +1 AC. With our new robe, we're going to go do some fishing here and hit level 6. Now, here I just taken our level to Warlock. I don't think you should do this if you're ever trying to do a similar kind of run. I think you should be multi-classing by now, and there's even arguments to multi-class earlier. I think 5 Warlock is fine, 6 you do not need unless you're mono-classing Warlock. Here we're going to go back to Nia. Now Nia is a joke. We're going to stand in darkness, he's not going to be able to attack us, and we have so many allies that it's going to do the job for us. Even though we did help, I promise. We're going to get 500 gold for this, and then we're going to come finish off the Dwager. This is an essential part of the run here, as we're going to get a buff. But first, we're going to make sure we pick up some of these angelic slumber potions, as a short rest will give us our spell slots back due to us being a warlock. We'll talk to the Sovereign Spore, and the Sovereign Spore will give us Bliss Spore's buff. Gives us a +1 d6 to attack rolls, ability checks, saving throws. Great, and we're going to be using that for pretty much the rest of Act 2. Now, we're going to do Ethel to get our +1 in Charisma. I do a Cloud of Darkness here to start the fight, to make it harder for Ethel to even hit us. Which pretty much works. They either skip their turn, or Ethel will throw something, which is fine by me. Now this fight is quite easy, but it also takes me a little bit, as I wasn't really sure how I wanted to tackle this one, with all the clones and whatnot. But it was just a matter of crowd control until I eventually got her low enough that I could survive any blasts coming my way, and she will give us the hair.
It's your choice, sweetness.
We're going to let her keep the girl, and we're just going to take the power and get our +1 in charisma. After getting this buff, I come back to Withers and then respec my build. Now here's where I fix up a little bit of the things that we changed along the way. So again, starting off as Warlock, but we're going to make our ability now be 17 charisma instead of 16. I'm just going to take 2 points out of intelligence, as I think that's the least useful one. Then upon leveling up, I'm going to come back and buy these potions again, and I'm just going to keep doing that, as you will always have 2 in stock upon a shop refresh, which can happen after you level up. Now instead of going for a level 6 here like I did before, I'm going to multi-class into Fighter. Again, I think you can do this earlier, but I'm doing it now. I just take defense. It doesn't do anything as I don't have any armor on, but I'm going to a bit later for a little bit, so I figured it's the only one I'll actually use. Now we're going to get the most broken thing we can get in Act 2 here. We're going to come to the Lady Shar Shrine and not accidentally attack an enemy. That was a bit silly. We're going to turn invisible and then let the enemy try find us, and then go into the temple here. Inside here, we're going to be able to pass some checks that will give us +5 in each stat that we pass. So we we pass intelligence. Charisma is the main one we're looking at here, and we have advantage, and we easily pass that one. Then wisdom is the lucky last, which we pass once again as well. This gives us +5 in each, and access to us to do the Shar Shrine. This just gives us some extra little goodies, nothing special. But now with this extra buff, we've got +5 in charisma, making our agonizing blast and our potent robe do an extra 7 damage. This will allow us to do 15 damage minimum with our dice roll and our bonuses. Now we're going to kill the Spider Matriarch, as we are so broken that we can pretty much do any fight that we want at the moment. I then come to the Goblin camp and finish them off as well. And then come kill the gnolls. I'm just completely cleaning up what I can from Act 1 here, as I have no need to really come back here anymore, so I might as well get all the XP possible. I know that technically this is not XP efficient, as I've already explored a lot of Act 2, but I don't care. This is safety over XP efficiency here. I'm going to be fine on XP, I promise. Here I hit level 7, cleaning up some of the Grymforge here. And level 7, we're just going to take our 2nd level fighter for Axe and Church. It's just good. More Eldritch Blasts, fine by me. The Spectator. Now, the Spectator was a wipe. We spawned him in and then run away, so we don't get surprised by it. And then we're just going to Eldritch Blast from afar, and because we're so far away, we get the first few blasts for free, putting it under half health. Then we're just going to go invisible and then finish them off the next round. We use a blast, use Action Surge, and then use my last 2 blasts. This will finish off the Spectator, and my Blood Elixir will give me another attack to kill the Drow. Now we just come kill some magic cats, again just for some free XP. I'm gonna be able to, with all my bonuses, kill so many of them here. We're then gonna make our way to the Zathis to try and get our lifted actions to be bonus actions. Now with all our saving throw bonuses and our bonuses from the Shard Temple, we easily pass all of these without a doubt. allowing us to get the buff. We then kill the person who allowed us to get this buff, as we have to kill her later anyway. Now we're going to do the Githyanki Inquisitor. I always blow up these guys, as I fear this fight is one of the hardest ones that you can easily just avoid if you just bring some barrels. But we're so broken that I think it'll be a disservice to actually do that, as they can't really hit us all that much anyway, and we can pretty much one-shot most of the regular enemies here. So I'm going to start this fight by trying to one-shot these two guys. I don't quite get it, and they detect me because I failed the stealth check, but that is fine, as they can't really hit me in the darkness. So I finished these two guys off with my first turn, and they summon one of the swords. I don't intend for this guy to be alive for very long, so that is fine by me. I then just use my last blast for this round on the Inquisitor himself. This will spawn another sword, but that is fine. We'll then use a speed potion for another attack, as he's used both of his swords, so we might as well use the attack now so he can't spawn another. Being in darkness, we have disadvantage on attack rolls against us, so we're quite safe. And as you can see here, the Githyanki Prince doesn't even step into the darkness. So all we gotta do now is just finish him off. We have a decent amount of DPS here that we can probably finish him off here in the one round. Using a crit here, he will now be frightened, so he won't be able to move next turn anyway. And then with 2 more blasts, we easily finish him off, getting rid of the swords as well. The rest of that was cleanup crew and was light work. We then meet the Githyanki Queen, who tells us to go and kill the person inside of the astral prison. Doing this and coming in here, the Dream Guardian will give us a permanent bless buff for until our next long rest. While we're here, we'll grab the Blood of Lathander as well, just for some extra XP, and you never know when you might need. Then I finish off the Githyanki Crash by killing them all, giving us a bunch of XP. This wasn't really hard at all, as my Eldritch Blast 1 or 2 shot most enemies. We then sell all of our spoils from the Crash, and make our way into the Shar Gauntlet, everyone's favourite. Now, I'm going to make Balthazar fight all these guys, and I'll just come in at the end to finish the job. I spawned all the enemies here by going invisible and waiting for the combat to end so the door would open. And once they get low enough, I finish both Balthazar and the last of the knights, making sure to finish Balthazar before he heals up. This will take out the main threats here, allowing a clear path to the end of the Shar Gauntlet. However, we have a few more things to clean up. First, we're going to actually complete some of the trials here to get 3 of the gems. We want to avoid the one where you have to walk across the invisible tiles, as that one can be a bit scary. We get these 2 very easily, as they're pretty much free once you know what you're doing. And then we're going to use our blast outside of the range to kill the Librarian Orb. I actually didn't know you could do that until this run. Now we're going to finish our rest off and grab an item here. No, not the silly spear. We don't want that. We're just going to sell that later. We want this helmet. This helmet is a medium armor set and allows crits to be 1 less, roll 1 less if you're obscured. Which, when we're in darkness, obviously we're obscured. We're then going to meet Yurgir, and because of our high charisma, we're able to convince him to kill all his followers, his cat, and himself. I know it's... oh. Luckily, inspiration's in the game. That's better. Obviously, this is a very boring method, but it's the easiest method and the safest. This will also hit us to our next level. Level 8, we're going to just stick to Fighter and get the champion subclass. This reduces our roll to critical hit by 1 again. These will start to stack, making our crits come more often. Now we're going to do our usual trick. We're going to make sure we can see the end there, have a feather fall on and jump down there. The screen will go black if you ever do this sometimes, and you can now put your 3 orbs you got, skipping the one you need to use the elevator. You can alternatively use a knock scroll on this door, or just the knock spell in general, to open the door without any of the orbs. We're going to grab this checkpoint and come back later. Now we're going to just finish off some of the bosses around here, using our beautiful charisma just to talk them to death. You can do these fights, not too hard realistically, but again, might as well talk if you have the option. We then kill the Githyanki, who are usually quite a menace, but with our build in the darkness, a lot of them just stood there and waited for our turn. Then we go down to the pub and meet our next boss, who we just have a few drinks with and make some stories up with. Eventually he will go down and we'll get our next boss done. Man, he was so chill. RIP the legend. Then we're going to send all our gold away to camp. I do this just for a few reasons, keeping only a little bit, just so if we do accidentally do the wrong dialogue check, she won't instantly kill us with one of her abilities. Once we get into the abilities here, we just roll and we easily pass. And same with our second roll here. It doesn't matter which one you select. Roll, pass 32, and then this will give us a huge chunk of XP and money as well. Now, for everyone's favourite minigame, Moonrise Towers. We're going to clear out all the Moonrise Towers now, as it's easier to clear them out when they don't expect it, rather than trying to clear it out when they're all there waiting for you. If you do this carefully, you'll be able to do most of the enemies one by one until you get towards the very bottom. Now I'm going to shut up for a minute and just have a montage of Moonrise Towers. Alright, I hope you're sick of Eldritch Blast, because now we've leveled up. Now, next level here, we're going to get our feet. Hang on a second. Alright, well, we'll kill him for interrupting our level up. Let's restart that. We're going to get our next level up here. Now, you could multi-class into Sorcerer, but since we're level 3 already, we might as well hit level 4 in Fighter and get our next feat. I'm going to choose Alert, but you could go Spell Sniper here if you want to get less crit chance, but I'm just going to Alert, it's safer, higher priority to go first in the turn order. We then finish off the last few enemies outside of Moonrise Towers. Now, it's a bit hard to hit level 10 here from now, unless you were really min-maxing all your XP from the start, pretty much. So I'm just going to do some shopping, make sure I've got all the scrolls I need. I then come back for Scratch, not thinking that I can't actually use him as I'm not going to long rest anymore, but I did go back for him. I then met old mate here down in Lady Shar's temple, and he was being a little bit funky. I've never seen this before, but it sounded a little bit like a dance party. So old mate here was just bugging out. And then I decided, well, I'll send him on his way. Eldritch Blast Airlines. Yeah, don't know what that's about. But anyway, he's dead. And now we're going to go free the Nightsong. Doing this will pretty much lock us in from here on to finish Act 2. Now we've still got all our buffs as we've just been using Angelic Reprieve Potions rather than long resting. We're then going to free her and then kill Isabel. It has to be done for the Dark Urge, I'm sorry. Don't tell the Lorax as well that I chopped down some trees in the process. Now Ketheric. Ketheric, we got no setup here, we're just going to use a fire scroll just so we can fly up onto one of the pillars. This will make sure he doesn't smite us to death straight away. Now, up here, my usual pillar, I always go there as it's just the one I go to, and we'll just start blasting with our high hit rate. We should have no problem finishing Ketheric in just a few turns here. Aylin's Moonbeam actually finished off this half of the fight for me, which was great. Now, inside of the colony here, we just kill everything, and it doesn't quite get us enough XP to level 10. So we're just going to take our free long rest here, that doesn't actually remove our buffs, and set up for the fight. Now I summon some allies, as, well, these are the only allies that I could summon. Cast a Greater Invis, and make my way over. I free Aylin, thankfully not breaking my Invis, and use Eldritch Blast on this Mind Flayer, which unfortunately does put me into the combat. I think it puts me into the combat as there's an actual fight starting and I attack an enemy that was there. I think you gotta do it the reverse order, which makes a lot more sense now that I'm actually thinking about it. I'm then going to use an Action Surge to try finish off the Mind Flayer, as the Mind Flayer can stun me and cause some issues later. So we wanted him dead as soon as possible. I then just took out some of the extra random enemies, such as these brains, as they were free to kill. Now this fight I tried to balance damaging Ketheric and also doing some crowd control, as I want as little mites as possible. When Myrkul comes around, I'll be able to actually manage it properly and not have to just kill necromites for 20 minutes. This proved somewhat effective, although it did result in the fight going a little bit longer than maybe needed. If I had a third Eldritch Blast, I think this fight would have been easy, so maybe stressing a bit more about XP and trying to hit level 10 is a good idea. But alas, this is fine. So Aylin's gonna die here, of course, in the no healing zone, so for the rest of the round fight, she is just completely useless. I kill some more of these guys to ensure that they don't respawn as well, leaving only a few necromites and a few spawns of the necromites allowed. Now we're going to try finish off these two here, and I can't reach that last one, so we finish Ketheric and turn into the Myrkul phase. In hindsight, I think I should have waited around so I would still have an action, but this is fine. So what's the first protocol here? I'm going to use a necrotic resistance potion. This is because we're planning on being here at a range, so he's only going to be doing necrotic damage to us essentially. With this, we'll only be taking half of the damage rather than the full lot, and with our talisman that we'll put on midway through the fight, it'll allow us to heal for full, pretty much making it so our bonus action is always just putting us the full HP each round, and we can never really die unless you run out of potions. I then just start trying to micromanage killing some of the necromite spawns and killing Myrkul at the same time. I put a scroll on of Featherfall as well in case he does suck me off the edge and I take fall damage, just in case. Now, because our spell save DC is very high, it's unlikely that we do fall, but you never know. Here is when I realise I don't have the right amulet equipped, so I equip the right amulet and that is my turn. I then start trying to be a little bit more aggressive here, as all the necromites are very far away and there's no need for me to really be so careful. I use my only speed potion here as well. Try to get a hefty amount of damage on him. Now, we're gonna kill any necromites when we can that are right in range, as now only one will spawn next round, and not 5, as they've still got to turn the weight before they even hatch. We're then obviously just gonna heal, and hope for the best. Due to us going lethargic, we kind of just gotta pray that we don't die. He does pull us, but the way the game works, we are safe. There's nowhere to pull us, so it's fine. We now go back to doing our crowd control, making sure he can't get any free heals unless we actually physically can't hit the necromite. We do this for I'm talking about 20-30 minutes here. So as you see, around 37, until we get him low enough that we are able to finish the job. It took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but we got there in the end, and that's all that matters. We grab our first netherstone from Ketheric, and we make our way into Act 3. Unfortunately, going into Act 3 means we're going to lose all of our buffs. These buffs are probably the best buffs that we'll get, as there's no really other buffs besides the Mirror of Frost that increases our charisma that high. With being awoken by the monks and having our Misty Step amulet on, we're able to skip past all the monks and head straight into the astral portal. If you ever have Misty Step, you are pretty much guaranteed a free way through. Even if you don't have the distance to run here, you can use dash and then go through the portal, as it doesn't require an action. Then we're gonna knock as many of the Githyanki as we can off the map with Eldritch Blast and finish them off normally. Again, the Emperor is actually useful and killed some enemies. That's 2 runs in a row now, he's actually done something. I'm quite impressed. We then finish off the Githyanki and hit our next level, but the Emperor has to yap to us first, so we'll get there eventually. He will give us a gummy worm though, so that's kind of nice of him, I guess. I had to listen to his yapping for it, so he can at least offer some snack. Here at level 10, extra attack doesn't work with Eldritch Blast, so there's no point continuing on here unless you're playing a melee build. So we're going to go into Sorcerer now. Dipping into Sorcerer does give us some extra utility, some more spell slots, and gives us shield as well. A great spell increasing our AC by 5 if needed. We're going to go Draconic as well for permanent mage armor, as we're going to swap our helmet off here in Act 3. First stop in Act 3 though is the usual, off to the circus to enjoy a nice break. No, I'm kidding. We're going to go grab the Stony and Bony statue for a permanent bless buff after our long rest. This costs $5,000 and we are more than rich this run, so we can easily pay for it and even get most of it back by selling some stuff we have left over. We then do the usual potion shopping, making sure we get invis potions, speed potions, all that lot, and Elixir of Viciousness to reduce our crits by 1 once again. We're then going to fly over into Worm's Rock and have a few flashbacks and yap sessions, blah blah blah, you know the drill. We're going to just get handed free XP as much, and we're going to join the alliance with Gortash. This is the easiest way out, as you can just go align with him and don't have to fight him at all. Now we're going to get our first piece of equipment here in Act 3, which will be the Birthright. The Birthright will give us +2 in Charisma. It's just a good helmet, it gives us extra damage on an Eldritch Blast, extra chance to hit. You might as well take it. We're going to grab some Global Vulnerabilities as well, and continue our way. We're then going to kill these guys here. You don't have to kill these guys to get access to the Murder Tribunal, but it's easy. You can't really mess it up. This blood will come running after you. Ask him for an autograph. He told me to cut someone else's hand off, so I will do that. Considering our next victim is just up the road anyway, we'll grab his hand. You can wait for Dollar to come here and then kill him and steal the arm, but that's a whole bunch of yap. I'm just going to do it myself. I then find this man in the sewers and pass a roll, which would make all of these guys allies for us, essentially. This will give us 3000 XP. Nat 20 this time, please. 33 works too. And then it's going to give us 3300 XP. We're then going to pickpocket this ring with extreme difficulty, might I add, because I failed the checks to actually just walk in for free. And then we're going to use the arms, use the ring, my apologies, to then enter through to the guild. They still get angry at me, but I've done it. Deal with it. I just couldn't be bothered fighting them, I'll be honest. Once you walk in here, you get 1500 XP, and you get access to this trader, which sells Terrazol, which pretty much works as a speed potion, but doesn't require a bonus action to use. It's pretty good. Now we're going to come to Cazador's palace and kill a bunch of innocent vampires here. They get 400 XP each. They don't cause, they're not hard to kill at all, and there's a bunch of rats, bats and wolves here as well. We're going to kill the skeleton, who will drop us a ring. This ring is one of the key items we need to get access to the next area of the palace to kill some more enemies. Once you grab the ring, we're going to make our way to the room just across the hallway with the weird mist. In this chest in this room, there's a book, and when you read it, you get the password for the door. Using the password and the ring, you will be able to open the door and find a room full of rodents. Thankfully, these guys are also easy to kill and give a crap ton of XP, so there's no reason why you shouldn't come straight here in Act 3 to grab it all. It's literally just free XP. Upon finishing this area, we're just going to leave, as the rest of the area isn't quite as easy as this. Unless you actually want to do this, the whole Cazador fight, you don't have to though. Now I'm going to come over here and we're going to speak to this trader. We have no interest of what she offers, but we want her quest. Now, to start a quest, we're going to have to kill Dribbles the clown here. Well, the imposter of Dribbles, I suppose. Once you've cleared out the whole clown here, she will give us a quest to go retrieve all parts of his body. Yes, we're going to do a fetch quest. It's going to take a minute as well. But the item we get from doing this quest is top tier. So we're going to suffer through. I think you can pickpocket the item, but hey, let's just do it the legit way. First, I'm going to come down to the beach here. Now, in this little cave here, there's a few rocks that you can move or destroy, which allows you to walk into this cave. In this cave, there's a few enemies that we're going to have to kill. Now, be careful if you're ever coming in here on a solo run in particular, as these enemies do have thunderous arrows and can knock you off the map if you're not careful. We're going to finish them off. They're not the hardest enemies in the world, really. And then we're going to loot the clown's torso off this body here. This is one of many items that we need in order to complete the quest. Now, we're going to come through a bunch of these buildings here that have barricaded up entrances. Inside these buildings is usually some kind of symbol and a hidden hatch that you can enter through. Some you need to lockpick, some are just open. I'm sure there is a key somewhere if you really knew what you're looking for. I didn't. So I just put the gloves of thievery on and lockpicked my way through. In this first one here, it was quite easy. It was just on this big body here. And that is the arm. Next, we're going to find an oak door here that, once open, you'll find a bunch of dead spiders in. I'd never seen this room before. I was actually kind of grossed out. Again, we're going to lockpick the hatch, make our way through. And once we're through, again, there's just going to be a body in the middle of the room that has the foot. We're going to pick that up and head to our next location, which isn't too far from the first. Now, I thought it was this one here, and I spent so long, like, I went invisible in order to not get angry. I'll get told off for opening the door. Turns out I was in the wrong building anyway. So scratch that. So what you're actually meant to go is to this run here. Again, it has that symbol up there, and I just misty stepped, even though I could have just levitated up there, but I didn't think about that because I'm not intelligent. And then I just walked in, and sure enough, down the stairs there is a hatch. You can just walk into this hatch, you don't have to lockpick it. Now this, again, on the body right there, was the next piece. There was a few traps around too. Then in this room here, again, just on the corpse. I then made my way and killed some mummies as I was in the area anyway, trying to find the next part, realizing I was nowhere near the right area. Good news though, I did get a level up. This level up will get me to level 11, and at level 11, we're just going to take another point in Sorcerer. This will get us some meta magic and another spell. The meta magic though doesn't really do anything, so we're just going to pick whichever ones and go next. I then make my way back and give her all the parts. This will give us the Spellmite Gloves. Now the Spellmite Gloves gives us a -5 to attack rolls, but I do an additional 1d8 damage. Now this is great as we actually get 3 of these triggers off of each instance of damage of Eldritch Blast. So it's just a great item to have. Next, we're going to come our way to the Murder Tribunal. Now the Murder Tribunal, we're just here for the 1v1 with Orin, plus a bunch of XP. You can kill Serevok if you would like to get the helmet. He is an extremely hard fight though. And I'm quite happy with the Birthright, as I think I've got enough ways to reduce my crit, and I want Serevok alive for the end fight, so I get the buff of a -2 to crit. We then grab the Deadshot. This also just reduces the roll needed to crit by 1 again. And it's a bow, and we don't have any use for a bow anyway, so we might as well use the one that reduces our crits. Then we're going to do our usual heist at Sorcerous Sundries to get the spell to one-shot the dragon on the Netherbrain. When I enter through this portal here, talk to this guy about the Nightsong for a little bit. I don't think it really matters what you select here. He doesn't really care, he just wants to know about the Nightsong. Then I'm going to fly down to this one here, as this will take me to the vaults. In the vaults, we're going to blast open this and read the book. This will give us the scroll we need, and since we only have one of them, we have to keep it for the end fight. I'm then going to take my only long rest of Act 3 to activate my Bless buff from the statue. On doing that, I'm going to come back to the Sorcerous Caress, and we're going to attempt to get the Insight check in order to get the Rapture buff. The Rapture buff is a 1d6 to attack rolls, saving throws and ability checks, pretty much the same thing as the Bliss Spores in Act 1. However, this one isn't a guarantee, as you need to pass an Insight check to get it. You're going to come up and meet these two here, but one of them's actually a Mind Flayer. We're then going to kill the Mind Flayer, who's going to counterspell my Eldritch Blast, so I just action search and blast them again. doing this will give us a conversation here. And if we pass the insight check right here, you'll be able to get the Rapture buff. Now when you're doing this, you want to select the powerful option, as that is the option that gives you a 1d6 to attack rolls, saving throws and ability checks. A very good buff, and a buff we're going to keep for the rest of the game, as we're not planning on doing any more long rests.
Your flesh shivers. Open your... I remember, and you'll remember. And if he claims his...
We then meet a fan in the hallway who wants an autograph, so we give it to him, and he even gives us a hammer. How nice of him. What a fan. I then make my way over to Orin, as I decide it is time to start doing some nonsense. Now we're going to equip the amulet that we get from the doctor in Act 2. As Orin is a humanoid, we can make sure she becomes paralyzed, so she can't use her reaction. We're going to also equip Luck of the Far Realms, just to ensure that we crit. We also give a nice blast to the butler. And we meet up with Orin. Now, Orin normally is one of the harder fights in the game, but doing the Dark Urge 1v1, he doesn't enter a Slayer form, making it quite more manageable. As she's a humanoid, you can obviously crit her, like I said, with the Surgeon's Amulet, to ensure you do critical damage to her and one phaser. So, we're going to use... I make sure here that I've got all the reactions equipped. Blast my spells. I crit here anyway. I crit here. And I don't crit on this one, but I just select crit just to ensure I've got it. I am paralyzed crit. And that is half of Orin's health already gone, but we're not done yet. We're flying close to ensure we get the criticals. And then blast away. And that is Orin in one phase, with 0 chance of failing. I then use a strength elixir to have enough strength to throw everyone here off the map. They get 400 XP each, so you might as well do it, as it's free XP. They don't care. Unless they see you, I think, doing it to someone else, they really couldn't care less. I'm then going to... I hit level 12, and I'm going to get... it doesn't actually matter what I get here. I respec, because I decide that I no longer need the extra Eldritch invocation. So no matter what I pick here, it doesn't actually matter. So let's skip on to when I actually respec, eh? So we meet Withers and we respec. This is great for a few reasons. Obviously we can finalize our build to make it as optimal as I would like for how I play the game. And also, it allows me to go to Sorcerous Sundries and donate him some money. Donating him some money here at level 1 will allow me to increase the attitude with him much easier. At level 1, it only takes 400 gold to get max attitude. I accidentally put 200 here, and then I just did another 200 again after that. But this will give max attitude, giving you a massive discount off of all the items you buy from him. And because we want to buy a bunch of scrolls that are high cost, this is easily the most effective way to do it. I'm then going to level up, doing mostly the same, but just stopping leveling up Warlock. I get Devil's Sight, as I just think that is the safer option on solo in general. I'm then going to get, instead of doing all this, I'm going to do it later anyway, but I'm going to take my fighter levels now, just to get that out of the way. Level 2 fighter. Get the champion subclass once again for the improved crit rolls. And then our feat, which is going to be the charisma. Then we're going to respec, multi-class, into sorcerer. And grab whatever cantrips, it doesn't matter, we're not going to be using them. For the spells, again, I'm going to make sure I have shield, and the second one is optional. And then Draconic Bloodline, again for the mage armor permanent buff. Doesn't matter which Draconic ancestry you pick, and next. Then again level 2, doesn't really matter for the spells and meta magic, as the meta magic we're looking for we only get at level 3. I'm just going to go distant and twit. Sorry, at level 3 we're going to grab the Quicken spell. The Quicken will allow us to use a bonus action for our cantrip, allowing us to do an extra cast of Eldritch Blast during a turn, assuming we have the sorcery points. Then for level 4 sorcerer, we have another cantrip, it doesn't matter, and another spell, we're going to pick up darkness. Oh, invisibility. We pick up darkness in Warlock. And then we're going to pick up alert. Now we're just going to finish off with 2 levels in Warlock, and grab a Misty Step, and just do the same that we did before, and grab our last feat. Again, doesn't matter for the cantrip. I can literally pick anything here, and whatever spell I think would see the most use, I'm just going to go Mirror Image, and I'm going to go Spell Sniper. This reduces our crit by 1 once again, and we can learn another cantrip. We don't care about the cantrip part, just the reduced critical hit rate is all we're looking for. Now, here we're just going to grab whatever scrolls we think are necessary, being Disintegrates, Chain Lightnings, Globe of Invulnerabilities, anything that can just do some AoE damage or some single target damage of different elemental types. We're then just going to grab any potions as well we need, prioritizing speed potions, invis potions, and some healing potions. We also want to make sure we have some elixirs of vigilance, so Orpheus can also go first once we end up picking him up later on. We're now going to make our way into the fight. Once you start here, you obviously cannot turn back, so you want to make sure you have everything fully set up that you need for the run. You can crouch here to skip pretty much all, you can just skip this whole fight by crouching and walking straight past it. I think being invisible also works, but there's no point doing this fight if you don't need to. Now, once we've met the Elderbrain, we've got to do some rolls here. These rolls I don't think actually matter, so if they pass, fail, who cares? I failed the second one here, and then it's time for Gortash's turn to die. He doesn't put up any kind of a fight. Bit of a weak effort, in my opinion. So we pick up the Netherstones, try roll again, and again fail. However, here is where the big money is. Oh, I thought I got it. I don't get it, but then I've got 4 inspiration points. Oh, I did get it. I was quite happy, as you could see, but I did not expect that. I've never actually passed this check. Doing this will result in the Elderbrain having a little bit less HP in the last fight. Nothing crazy, but a little helping hand, allowing us to finish the fight a little bit easier. Now, heading in, the Emperor saves us, and we weren't happy because we thought we could actually deal with him right there, right then. So we attack the Emperor. We then save Orpheus, and Orpheus was so kind and caring when he first met me that he also turned into an Illithid for me. How nice of him. What a nice guy. Yep, that's kind of gross. I'm glad I didn't have to do that. I also like how they just summon clothes, by the way. Like, they just, what, make it appear out of nowhere? Someone explain that to me. Anyway, we're going to go invisible here. And then we're just going to walk past all the enemies. Again, no point doing the fight, we're max level, and it's just an unnecessary risk. We're then going to use Orpheus, as he has a better fly than I do, to go towards the end of the brainstem. Once one of us makes it to the brainstem, it doesn't actually matter, as the other person will get teleported, so that is fine. Well, once Orpheus gets up here, we're going to do a little bit of setup in order to make sure that we can properly do this fight. And once you do this setup, the fight is pretty much scripted, really. So, first of all, we need an elixir of vigilance here for Orpheus. This will allow him to also go first. We'll go in Enhanced Shield of Thralls, and then spam Fierce Stakes on to Orpheus. This will allow the spell that we picked up earlier to do massive amounts of damage, as each instance of the spell counts as a point of damage. Same concept as using Eldritch Blast, as they all are different instances of damage, they all count as a unique instance. So once you go into turn-based mode here, you can use your action and bonus action to apply some more stakes, and then we're going to end turn-based mode and use some stakes again to make sure we have that same buff that allows us to do that once we start the fight. You should probably go back into turn-based mode so you don't waste some time walking to the stem. First thing of the fight, we're going to make Orpheus use those stakes again. Make sure we're at 7. Then we're going to throw our only speed potion at me and Orpheus here, so he can actually cast a spell this turn. Once he casts a spell, we're going to use 5 targets on the dragon and 1 on the Emperor. You can technically do 4 and 2, but you have to get lucky with your rolls to ensure the dragon actually dies. The Emperor not dying is just a bit easier to deal with, as I'm more likely to be able to kill the Emperor. Spoiler, I forget about the Emperor entirely and I don't actually kill him. I end up just using Eldritch Blast on the Emperor. I missed 2 of them and hit 1, so he's feared so he can't come over here this turn, and prone so his turn will skip. I'll then use Backlash on the Dream Guardian, as Orpheus' stacks count for that as well. Now we're going to use Orpheus to go kill the other Mind Flayers. With his stacks still on and Scrolls of Chain Lightning, he'll be able to one-shot both groups of them. For some reason, Counterspell doesn't quite work when you're using a scroll on a summon. I don't know why, I don't know if that's a bug or what, but that's what happens for some reason. So keep that in mind if you're ever using a scroll, it just seems to just bug out. As you'll see here, they use Counterspell, which is fine, my spell doesn't go off, but I don't actually use my action and I don't use a scroll. So, a bit of a weird one, but hey, it works. Then we're going to Misty Step over here, and I'm going to use a Scroll of Invulnerability to ensure that we don't take any damage. Now here's where I realised the Emperor is actually still alive. I forgot about him. He used Chain Lightning, but he doesn't do any damage because we're in the globe. That's great. However, me and Orpheus are about to lose our speed potion, so the Emperor comes up and Mind Blasts and actually gets the stun on me. Thankfully, Orpheus is able to finish off the fight there and start recasting the crown. Thankfully, this will allow Orpheus to finish that, as there's no other enemies to actually stop us. Now we're going to send Orpheus in first. This is a very purposeful move, as he can trigger the Brain's reaction and not affect my main character. As you can see, he has less health to begin with, due to our passing that roll earlier. So we get the Mind Break and reaction, and then we get our main character to come through. This will allow our main character just to do some free damage without having to worry about getting Mind Broken, and not be able to use extra turns or reactions. So I'm not actually sure what is technically right here, keeping the Spellmark gloves on or off. As my chance to hit ends up being quite low, at 55%. It's a 50-50 essentially, for an extra d8 of damage. I'm not sure if it's entirely worth, I think the higher chance to hit is just more consistent and will end up with more damage. As an 80% chance to hit with a still decent amount of damage sounds pretty good to me. We're then going to use a Terrazol, as this will give us an extra action point. More Eldritch Blast sounds pretty good to me. Get it down to 95, and I'm sure if I used a Terrazol on Orpheus here, I could finish, or maybe finish the fight, but I don't risk it. We're going to move our characters away from the platforms that are going to be removed next turn, and start casting Scrolls of Chain Lightning, as the brain is now immune to force damage this turn. Now I have 3 of these scrolls, and with only 95 health left, I think I have it in the bag here. Going to use Chain Lightning again, and with my extra turn from the Terrazol, I will use Chain Lightning again, finishing the Elderbrain off, and completing Honor Mode as a Warlock using primarily Eldritch Blast. Ironic I didn't finish the game with Eldritch Blast, but hey, that's life. So, I know it's not a patch 8 kind of build. I had a few going, and I couldn't get anything quite to stick. And some I was vibing. I was working on this kind of run before patch 8 came out, so I already had all the route and things I wanted to get and whatnot. And it's not like the Eldritch Blast Warlock is a unique concept. It's been done before hundreds of times. But I just wanted to show off how powerful it was. With Darkness, you're pretty much invincible, unless an enemy can see in darkness or an AoE spell hits you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, subscribe or leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video. I also plan to do a little bit of Netherbrain content coming out, as it's coming out next week. I'm a big Elden Ring Dark Souls fan, so I might do a few videos there. Anyway, I hope to see you on any of my next videos. See you later.